So today's video is definitely the second part of the Singapore series, and it is to answer the question as to, is it really possible to actually go to Singapore on a budget? Because, you know, as much as sometimes I post stuff on my YouTube or on my social media, some people would be like, okay, that is a very far-fetched idea for me, might not work for me. Can I even be able to make it? Can I do Singapore on a budget? Honestly speaking, yes, you can. And I will tell you how on this video. So please go ahead and watch it until the very end. Like this video, share it to someone, and so that we can keep on growing this community for sure. So as I said on my last video, is that Singapore has a lot of things to offer, and you will find yourself quite interested for a long period of time whenever you're there. Pretty much everywhere you look, there's something to do, and so it is very easy to break your budget. It is very easy to wish that you could do some things and as opposed to others, but this is a video to guide you on some of the things that I found that would be pretty much hacks of, you know, high budgets and all these kind of things. So one of the major things obviously is your flight to Singapore. So I flew on Qatar Airways, and one of the things that you would want to notice is that actually I spoke about this on my previous video, is that Qatar Airways has got a layover program. And so this layover program allows you to actually lay over for a long period of time in Doha, and this actually reduces the cost for a bit, because the cost of the flight, that is, for a bit, because you're able to, yes, lay over in Doha, but at the same time the flight is a little bit cheaper as compared to when you would just go straight forward to Singapore. And this is one of the airlines that actually I found with a very good offer. There are several other airlines, if you're listening to this and you're in Kenya, there are several other airlines that offer some really nice offers. The other day I saw one that is actually on, I think, Air Asia, whereby you can be able to reduce the cost of your flight by, I think, flying to Malaysia, and you can actually access Singapore via Malaysia and take like $100 bus to Singapore, and this way even visit two countries at the same time. One thing that you also need to notice is that it is visa free. So if you're listening to this and you're from Kenya, you definitely can visit both Malaysia and Singapore visa free for a period of 30 days, and you know, you don't have to worry about this. The only thing that you really need to worry about is things like yellow fever especially, and you can check all the requirements that you actually need. I was flying from Portugal, so I did not need the yellow fever certificate, but you can check depending on even your past travels, whether you've come from an area that is yellow fever infected and all these kind of things, so you can check all that much later. But there is an offer that you can take advantage of so that you can cut your cost for your flight. That is number one. Number two is definitely accommodation. Accommodation is going to really be a make or break for you, and there are several places that you can actually stay in Singapore, places that are close to Chinatown or India Town, in Little India. I'm saying India Town, but it is actually Little India, and they can be budget friendly. You can find these places on websites, the normal websites, booking.com or like hostelworld.com, or even like Airbnb, and you can find some really good bargains on these websites, and especially if you're going to Singapore when it is off-peak, and off-peak would be anything that is maybe not from June all the way to September or October, and you can find some really good places to actually stay. And this is another hack whereby you can be able to cut the cost on accommodation, and especially if you're those people who say, you know what, I just want to go and experience things, sightseeing, as opposed to having a really nice place to actually stay in, then this is definitely going to work for you. So that is number two. Number three is obviously the food and the getting by. So I found that in Singapore you are spoiled. If you want a very high-end way of consumption of food, then you will definitely find it. You'll find those those high-end restaurants for sure. You will find even food in the malls. Like, I found the diversity of even the food courts in the mall is quite interesting, honestly speaking. And then there's the street side of it. So the street side of it is actually such a big bargain, because you can find a meal even for like $10 or $9. This is Singapore dollars. And this way you can even cut your costs, if at all. And also there are people who prefer to even buy some groceries. Maybe you're in an Airbnb, you can go to a supermarket and pretty much buy some groceries and cook in that Airbnb. So this is another way of cutting down your cost in terms of the food. Also, in terms of getting by, it's so easy to get by around Singapore using the transport card. So you can purchase a card that covers your time of travel there, and use the buses and the metros. And in case you also have your credit card or your debit card, you can just pretty much go tapping it, and that way it's easy to actually be able to see how much you're using. However, I would recommend getting the card such that you're able to put a certain amount of money in that transport card and be able to use it for the period of time that you're visiting. You can also easily find things like a Grab, which is an app for Ubers. So in case you need to use an Uber, it is actually one of the ways that you can go around. It's a bit expensive, however, it is something that you can plan for. And in case you don't want to use it every other single time, one thing I'll tell you for sure is that Singapore is easy to walk around from one place to the other. So you can easily also decide that you don't want that meme that says that you booked a flight and you want to just go walk everywhere, and then after that you need a holiday from your holiday. Yeah, that is very much possible. So that is another hack that you can actually utilize. Now, the other thing is going to be tickets for things to see, because I found out that like in Singapore, there's a ticket for pretty much anything that you possibly would want to see. However, there's always the free version. It's just like an app where you have a free version and then you have the paid version. So the free version, for example, in places like Gardens by the Bay is actually free to go into for some places, like right under the canopy. You can be able to just go and chill there for free. Things like the Garden Rhapsody, which is the show that is right under the trees at night, is absolutely free. Things like the water show in the Marina Bay Sands are free. Going to the botanical gardens is free. Going to Sentosa Island, actually being on the island itself, is free, unless you want to go and see a few things here and there. So these are some of the things that are actually free to do. Walking around as well, obviously, is free. Going to places like Chinatown, Little India, walking around is definitely for free, right? But you do need some tickets. For example, if you want to go to the Marina Bay Sands observation, if you want to just maybe go and have a drink, the cheapest drink I think it was $8 or $9 at the 57th floor. There's a restaurant at the 57th floor whereby you can actually book a reservation on that restaurant on the 57th floor of the Marina Bay Sands and buy a drink there and be able to see the various things that are within Singapore. However, I think the observation deck is, I think, about 32 Singapore dollars. So potato, when you weigh the two, you maybe possibly, if you have a very tight budget, you can definitely book the reservation on the 57th floor of the Marina Bay Sands, as opposed to maybe buying a ticket for the observation deck. Now, another thing that you obviously can easily access would be like going back to the jewel, which is the Changi Airport, whereby you can be able to go and spend literally a whole day there. You can just go around the whole airport seeing what they have to offer. There are several things that are actually for free. However, if you want a ticket for the Canopy Garden, the Mirror Maze, it's not as expensive, honestly speaking. So this is another hack which you can be able to actually use and be able to spend time there and see what there is to see. Now, another thing that might be quite on the high for you perhaps is the nightlife, because if you are those people who want to party, it is quite expensive, honestly, in Singapore, even eating out at night and all these things. However, you can plan for it, maybe do 1 or 2 nights, or depending on your itinerary, and choose places that are pocket friendly. Like I said, if you go on the street side of things, which is things like Chinatown or maybe Little India, then you can find some really good hacks whereby, you know, the food is not as expensive, because it's so easy to go out in Singapore and have a meal and it just suddenly it's all the way $100 plus, just like that. So, like I said, there are several places that you can check out, even inside the malls where there are food courts. You can be able to look around as well, whether you want to, you know, be those people who actually are in an Airbnb and you are cooking for yourself. So it is definitely very much doable. What you need to do is to plan ahead, and it's okay to take your time to plan ahead. Like I said, you can always come through Malaysia, which tends to be a bit cheaper, I have heard. I need to definitely go and experience it myself, and go through from Malaysia to Singapore with a bus and get to Singapore and experience it, and perhaps go to the next country or go back to Malaysia and take your flight back, even to Kenya or wherever else that you are accessing it from. I do hope that this video has helped you. Honestly speaking, I really enjoyed myself in Singapore, and I definitely want to go back there, because I feel as if, you know, it is one of those places that you want to keep on going back and seeing more and more. It's such a place like Paris, whereby anytime you're in Paris, there's something about being there. As much as it's overrated, there's something about being there that, you know, makes up for the expense and all the things that are within that city. Now, once again, please go ahead and like this video and join my membership, and we will continue with the rest of the series of how to move abroad and things to do when you're moving abroad. And I always enjoy bringing this content to you of the places that I get to travel, bringing you along and letting you know that you can definitely actually do it yourself as well, because I know most of my viewers are people who want to move abroad, they want to experience the life out there, and I'm always here to cheer you on and let you know that yes, you can. Yes, you can book that trip. Yes, as much as you've been toying about it for the longest time, you definitely can do it as well. I do hope this video has been a little kick to you, and until next time, keep subscribed. Bye bye.